I'm not threatening you. Say one more word, and that's 30 days. 30 days.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Sovereign Citizens Hall of Fame with your boy TP. Today we will be courtroom hopping for trial in the courtroom of Phyllis K. Webster out of the state of Kansas. And we will be revisiting someone that we covered before by the name of Mr. Annie Estrada Jr. If you don't remember who he is or know who he is, check out this clip.
But as I recall, your plea was not guilty. Is that still your plea?
Yes, but I'm here to make a separation between my name. My name is Annie Estrada with low caps. This name on the top, I don't know if you can see it. This name on the top is my straw man. I am the man, and this is the straw man. So if you're calling the straw man, I'm here to represent the straw man, but I'm Annie Estrada Jr., the man, the living man.
I'm calling the living man.
Well, as you can see, Mr. Estrada definitely has his sovereign citizen head on, definitely had a lot of back and forths with Judge Webster. He's finally in trial for some of the proceedings that we've covered in the past. If you haven't seen those proceedings, we will have a link down in the description for you to check those out. But listen, this is going to be a pretty long trial, so you may want to go grab some snacks or drinks or whatever it is you need to grab, sodas, waters, I don't know. But it's going to be a fairly long trial, but definitely I'm sure it's going to be an interesting one. Definitely one I've been waiting for, because it's been a while that we've been waiting for Mr. Estrada to go to trial. So with that being said, guys, they're waiting on us. So let's go ahead and jump into this trial.
We are on the record in case number 2024 TR 617, State of Kansas versus Annie Estrada Jr. Paulie Dean for the state. This is 2024 TR 617. Mr. Annie, you need to start your video and audio. Mr. Annie, you need to start your audio and video so we can have your bench trial.
Here, hello, here. Hello, hello.
Mr. Annie, you need to start your audio and video. Sounds like you've started your audio.
Yeah, the video. Start video. Okay.
All right, Mr. Annie, you are representing yourself today. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Judge, you never approved my order for withdrawal.
Yeah, you set that over for today.
Well, I do have your motion to withdraw. I also have the defendant's pro se motion to dismiss with extreme prejudice, affidavit of true and affidavit of reservation of rights request for writ of discovery, which you filed November 21st to 24. Mr. Annie, what's going on between you and your attorney? Do you want an attorney or do you not?
I do, but he's not able to defend me because for the interest, I don't know, but he's not defending me. I need an attorney.
You say you need an attorney?
I do, but you know.
I don't know if it's your computer or mine, but I'm having a hard time hearing you, sir.
Hello.
Just see, is that his computer or mine?
I hope it's not mine.
He's not sitting close enough to the microphone, Judge.
All right, you need to sit closer to your microphone is what I'm told, sir.
Can you hear me now?
That's great, yes. Now, what's going on with your attorney? Do you want your attorney or not?
I do, but there's some conflict of interest where he said he's not gonna represent me.
He says he's not gonna represent you?
He says he's gonna pull himself out.
Okay, Mr. McClendon, what's your take on this?
Judge, my client wants me to support a position that I believe is contrary to the Constitution of the United States. And I took an oath to uphold that when I became an attorney, and I take that oath every year. And he's wanted me to pursue this position that I do not feel comfortable representing the law.
Your Honor, this is the same issue. I believe Mr. Paul was first appointed to this case. Essentially, the defense, as the court has seen, is one that's contrary to the United States Constitution, Constitution of the state of Kansas, that he's for some reason is exempt from, as a private citizen, from the laws of the state of Kansas.
Well, aren't we gonna have the same problem regardless of what attorney he has?
That's correct. And if my understanding is correct, the court has indulged Mr. Abel in that it's appointed him 2 attorneys now. 2 attorneys he's sought to have basically present a defense that's contrary to the Kansas Constitution, contrary to the oath that each attorney takes when they're licensed by the state. And additionally, this carries a maximum sentence of 30 days, which would typically not even make him eligible for an attorney, but the court has taken the effort to give him counsel.
Well, and didn't Mr. Estrada, didn't this attorney, William McClendon, represent you when this was brought in initially in city court?
Yes, and it was dismissed. This is why I'm claiming double jeopardy, because I'm going for the same case over again, and this has been dismissed already. Why am I going to court again?
Well, you didn't actually go to trial in the other one. You had a first appearance, as I recall, and then it was dismissed. So you haven't had any jeopardy attached. You've not had a trial in this.
Well, the supremacy laws says that you cannot be tried or convicted of anything.
I know what they say. All right. Well,
Listen to your words, sir. You just stated it. Tried or convicted. The jury was not impaneled. The judge had not begun to take evidence in your city court case. It was dismissed. Jeopardy does not attach until one of those events occurred, and they have not occurred.
well, so Mr. Abel, if you want an attorney, it's going to be William McClendon. If you don't want an attorney, you'll have to either hire one, which it's kind of late for that in the day, or you'll have to represent yourself. So which way do you want to go?
I like to get an attorney, but
Well,
I
I'm not
already
going to give you continuance for it because you've had this case in municipal court, you've had this case in this court, you've known this hearing was coming up, and you've gone through 2 attorneys. So what do you want to do? Are
Very
you going to
simple.
represent yourself or use Mr. McClendon? Those are basically your
I want to
choices.
be, but the
You
paperwork
have
that
to stay up by the microphone. I can't hear you.
I want to be represented by my attorney, but the paperwork that I support, that I put in there, is completely lawful, and he doesn't want to go forth with my
Okay,
paper.
so here is that where the disagreement is? You filed this voluminous motion to dismiss with extreme prejudice, as you captioned it, and he doesn't want to argue that for you? Is that why you 2 are in disagreement?
Yes.
Amongst many other reasons, Judge.
Okay, well, Mr. McClendon, I'm gonna
Judge, if he's able to draft a motion of such, I don't see why he can't be able to argue it himself.
Well, I'm gonna have you stay on board, Mr. McClendon, and Mr. Abel, I have read your motion. Believe it or not, I did read it all. I read about your arguments for the 6th Amendment right to counsel and your discussion of Attorney Richard Paw having a case conflict. And then you start talking about your commercial and private license plates. You start citing federal law that isn't even applicable here.
How's that?
And you start getting into the US code. And you start talking about retaliation and coercion and the right to confront witnesses, which I agree you do have, and they are here to testify, as I understand it. But I don't agree with this, what you call lawful private American righteous onto the Lord, the King of glory, and the law of the land of the United States, ex parte Milligan. That isn't even making any sense. You start talking about military courts. This is not a military court. You start talking about being a free person, having the right to travel on the roads. Well, provided by their servants for that purpose. Well, we don't have servants in that sense. People are not servants unless they're hired and appropriately contracted. But as far as the roads, if you don't see yourself as having contributed to making those roads, you have to go by the rules of the road. There's more paperwork. You've included the order of dismissal from city court. You argue that the U.S. Supreme Court and other high court citations prove that no license is necessary for normal use of an automobile on common ways. That's not right. That's not the law. You talk about yourself being a traveler on foot, but you weren't a traveler on foot using the public highways. You were driving a motor vehicle, according to the allegations. You attached something from a Nora Weisenberg Foreign National Division, and you addressed Governor Pat McCrory out of Raleigh, North Carolina, a 2015 letter with a carbon copy to Deputy Justice Attorney General Loretta Lynch and Secretary of State John Kerry. I don't see that having any relevance or bearing. Then you've got something with a copyright number and a fee schedule with lawful legal notice, as you call it. And you start talking about prohibited actions in 18 U.S.C. 101, 18 U.S.C. 241, and you go down through those. And again, this is not a federal court. And then you start talking about you have fees that the officers must pay before they can do any business with you.
Correct.
And if they refuse to pay your fees, then any business or interaction with them or transaction you say is basically void. And I do not find that that is the law. You have an interesting fee schedule attached. Apparently, to give them your name, you charge $50,000.
Correct.
To give your driver's license number, you charge the officers $50,000. If they want your social security, it's $100,000. If they want a retinal scan, is that $5 million?
That's correct.
Fingerprinting, photographing, $200,000 each. Then DNA and a bunch of that stuff is $5,000, and you go on with like a long list of what you're going to charge them with, or charge them for talking to them. And I'm not going to honor that fee schedule because I don't think that has any law in this court, any bearing in this court. You either have the right to talk to the officers, or you have the right not to talk to them. You have the right to talk to them with your attorney, again, or you just have the right not to talk to them, but to try to charge them these fees, that is not consistent with the law.
Ma'am, hey,
And then you have a document, the 12 presumptions of court, and you start talking about a Roman court does not operate according to any rule of law, but by presumptions of law. You go on to talk about before a lower Roman court and a private bar guild. You talk about presumptions of public oath to the bar guild. And again, this is not a practice that Kansas uses. So I'm not going to make any rulings in favor of that document.
but it's a violation of my rights, because what you do with 39 CFR subsection 3(9),
Okay, I can't hear you, sir. You're gonna have to get in front of the microphone.
I've been in front of the microphone, but what you're saying is a clear violation of my rights, because 49 CFR subsection 3(0).
All right, well, sir, I'm gonna stop you there. You've argued your point very, very extensively in your written documents. So I've heard your arguments in the written documents. I don't see any basis to them in this case, and I deny all of your motions and arguments. I note your objection for the record, so you can appeal if you wish, sir. But as judge in this case, I'm denying your motions. And we're going to proceed with your bench trial on a factual basis.
Right, but under what law are you basing this? What law? Because you're violating the
Under
law.
the Kansas laws, and if you don't know the Kansas laws, that's what you have an attorney for. He knows the Kansas laws. So we're going to proceed. We're going to proceed, sir. You need to restrain yourself a little bit. We have an orderly process we go through. Mr. Dean, are you ready to proceed?
State's ready, Your Honor.
All right, please call your first witness. And for the record, we are looking at a bench trial on the charge of vehicle display of a license plate. There's an argument. Okay. Yes, sir. Briefly.
The privacy clause, Article 6 of the Constitution, is saying that the law of the land, the supreme law of the land, is the Constitution.
All right. Well, I'm denying your motion, sir, and you need to. If you're gonna participate in this hearing, you have to get closer to your microphone.
I'm on top of it. Literally, my face is on the microphone.
Well, you have to turn it up somehow. All right, Mr. Dean, if you'll call it, we're going to start the trial. Are there any opening statements?
The state would waive open statements. Looks like we have Deputy Hansen here with us.
Deputy Hansen, please raise your right hand. You solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Very well. Please proceed, Mr. Dean.
Deputy Hansen, would you please state your full name and title?
I am Deputy Clinton Hansen of the Greenwood County Sheriff's Office.
And how long have you been so employed?
Since June of 2023 at this agency.
And how long have you said at this agency, have you worked at other law enforcement agencies prior to your employment with Greenwood County?
Yes, sir. I have a grand total of 15 years in law enforcement.
And is that the same amount of time that you've been a certified law enforcement officer?
Yes, sir.
And back on August 21st of 2024, what were your duties on that day, sir?
On that day, I was just assigned to general patrol and any service calls or accidents that came up.
And were you patrolling the city of Eureka in Greenwood County, Kansas on that day and time?
Yes, sir.
And was there anything on that date that caught your attention as odd?
Yes, sir, there was.
And what was that?
While I was southbound on Main Street, I stopped at the stoplight and I noticed the vehicle in front of me had a very unusual registration on their vehicle.
And what was unusual about that registration?
Well, in 15 years of law enforcement, while I understand things change with license plates, I had never seen this license plate before. What also became very apparent to me as odd was the fact that it had a Kansas label on it as well as a US DOT.
I'll show you what I marked as State's Exhibit number 1. I believe you have the possession of this at the Sheriff's Department, correct?
I do, sir. It's right here.
And that's a license plate that you removed from this vehicle, preserved for evidence for today. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And does this appear to be an accurate picture and representation of the plate that you observed while you were on routine traffic patrol back
Yes,
on
sir.
August 21st, 2024?
Yes, sir.
And that's what you're referencing, Kansas and US DOT, not appearing to be something that you would normally see as far as the layout of a license plate.
Correct.
Is private something you generally see on a license plate?
Not a plate that has ever been issued, to the best of my knowledge, by the state of Kansas or any other state.
Did you attempt to run this license plate before initiate or while you were investigating this matter?
I did.
And what, if any, information was dispatch able to provide to you?
There was no information. We could not get a what we call a return or a return from the state with all of the vehicle information.
Kansas, a lawful Kansas license plate, would it not also show a month that it expires and a current sticker showing that it's been registered, tags and taxes paid?
Yes, sir, in the upper right-hand corner.
And that's where it's just indicating that it's exempt for some reason.
Yes, sir.
Based upon the observations of State's Exhibit number 1, Your Honor, and I would move for admission of the same. He's identified it.
Any objection to admission of State's Exhibit 1? Hearing no objection, State's 1 is admitted.
I didn't say anything. I'm trying to speak.
Any objection to admission of State's Exhibit 1? Hearing no objection, State's 1 is admitted.
I didn't say anything. I'm trying to speak.
You didn't say anything. That's what I said. But since you didn't announce an objection, I thought you didn't have one.
I do, but I'm trying to speak, but you can't hear me. Anyways, my objection to this is I am completely lawful and I'm following the law of the United States. And I have 2 plates. I have the commercial plates and I have my private plates. I violated no law by that.
All right. Well, your objection is noted and it's overruled and we will proceed.
And just to clarify, Deputy Hansen, that was the plate, the only plate that was being displayed on the vehicle that you were observing, correct?
Yes, sir.
After viewing that and having dispatch run the numbers and nothing coming back, what did you then do?
For a short time, I had to disengage from the vehicle. We had another 911 call. I was later able to find the same vehicle and observe a traffic violation as he was leaving the city of Eureka, at which time I initiated a traffic stop.
And was that on East River Street?
The traffic violation was on East River, like a block inside the city limits. So by the time we actually came to a stop, we were in rural Greenwood County.
And what was the traffic infraction that you observed at that time prior to the stop?
Illegal usage of a lane or an illegal lane change. He was in a right-hand turning lane and failed to signal moving left into the appropriate lane, leaving the city of Eureka.
So after making that observation, I think you were starting to say, perhaps you already said you started the traffic stop, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And did you make contact with the driver?
I did.
And do you see that driver with us here today?
I do, sir.
And where is he?
He is the man wearing glasses listed as Abel E.
Your Honor, I'd ask the record to reflect that the officer has identified the defendant.
The record shall so reflect.
Were you able to identify Mr. Abel, who you've identified as Abel E., when you contacted him for any type of identification?
I did, sir.
And what did he provide you?
Upon initial contact, he provided me with his valid Kansas driver's license. There was some other paperwork that was inconsistent with what I normally see on a traffic stop as far as registration. He also did provide me current valid insurance.
All right. So, based upon the information he provided to you, what did you then do?
Some of the statements that he had began making, I had recognized through some training with the sovereign citizen movement. I am not claiming that he is, just I have heard that in previous encounters and training. So feeling that at some point a supervisor would be requested by Mr. Estrada, I went ahead and requested a supervisor. And then I went back and ran the vehicle's VIN number through my in-car terminal, and I was able to get actually what the vehicle was.
And this was a 2011 GMC Acadia, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And in regards to the, did he make any statements to you in regards to why he was displaying this tag?
Because he said he was driving in the private, he was not driving commercially. He did not he did not need a commercial license plate. That according to him, the plate that was displayed was perfectly legal and lawful.
And he had to indicate he was returning or had returned the Kansas registration plate.
He said he was getting ready to, and he actually held up the envelope that he had packaged up and ready to drop in the mail. The standard Kansas license plate, he was going to mail it back to Topeka.
Did he make a statement that he was a free national and that's why he was going to use his own private plate?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Abel, we probably ought to clear this up. I did not let Mr. McClendon off the hook, but are you going to use him as your primary counsel, or do you want to represent yourself? Because I can keep him back here in case you need him and let you proceed, but I need you to tell me whether you're going to let him represent you and take the lead on this, or if you're going to stay in charge of it.
Well, I like to get him to represent me, but none of the paperwork that I put in there, he wasn't represent. Secondly, you guys are violating my rights because this officer is literally lying on the stand, because I presented all my documents, and just because he never seen it doesn't mean that it's not real. And also, it's from the DOT. It was assigned to me from the DOT as a private citizen, and you never let me read the law. 49 CFR, subsection 3903, it says, general applicability section, applicable only to employers and employees of commercial motor vehicles that transport property, passengers, in the interstate in commerce. I am not in commerce for profit. I'm not in profit.
All right, so excuse me, sir, I take it that Mr. McClendon is not going to be primary counsel on this. You're going to represent yourself primarily. Is that right?
I don't want to help me, but he doesn't speak. He doesn't say nothing. He's not defending me. I'm defending myself.
Well, I understand that you see the law differently. You're wanting to argue differently than the law that applies to the court we're in.
Your Honor, I didn't even hear an objection lodged in that statement. I'd ask the court to overrule whatever it is that he's just stated, so we can move on.
All right. Well, I do overrule any objection that you were trying to make, because frankly, I didn't totally understand what you were trying to say, but what I did understand has no bearing on this case. But Mr. McClendon, I guess he's just gonna take charge and you're gonna just sit there, and if he needs you, he'll let you know.
Your Honor, I'd ask the court formally recognize Mr. McClendon as standby counsel.
That is how he is recognized. Just stand by counsel.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. Go ahead, sir.
Your Honor,
I'm just-
No, I mean Mr. Dean.
You guys are violating my rights, my constitutional rights.
All right, I note your objection. I can't hear you now. You're not making a very good record, but I understand you object. I've overruled it, and you can argue that with the Court of Appeals.
Under what law? Are you under what law?
Well,
Under
if
what?
you think I'm violating the law, then you take it up with the Court of Appeals if you lose.
I am not gonna, because I'm righteous to the law. The law says that I have to be in commercial, and I'm not in commercial.
All right, well, you can argue that in your closing argument. Go ahead, Mr. Dean. Overruled, and you can argue it on appeal if you need to.
That is a violation of my rights.
I note your position,
You-
sir.
And you're violating my rights blatantly.
Okay.
Disrespect.
Sir,
And-
you've made your point. I've ruled against it. You need to let Mr. Dean proceed.
This
Go
is
ahead. Sir,
you're railroading me.
well,
This-
sorry you see it that way, but you need to stop talking now and let Mr. Dean proceed with his evidence.
What evidence? They're false.
Stop, sir. Go ahead, Mr. Dean.
I believe the question I'd asked is if he indicated that, I think you answered that he said he was free national sitting back his Kansas registered, or his Kansas license plate.
Objection.
All right, Deputy, you want to answer the question?
But he stated objection again, not a basis. I don't know if the court wanted to rule.
Well, it's hard for me to rule when he keeps cutting in and out. I can't hear what he's saying. All right.
Unbelievable.
What's your objection this time?
That I have a recording, and what the officer is saying is incorrect. I
Well,
never
then
said.
then you can bring that up on cross-examination or in your own testimony.
It's what we call cross-examination, sir. Deputy Hansen, following those statements and that information he provided to you, what did you then do?
Real quick, Mr. Dean, do you want me to answer that other question?
Yeah, go ahead and answer that question. We've kind of gone off on a tangent here. Excuse my reference, Your Honor. But so I'm not sure whether you got that answer out or not. But go ahead and answer, please.
He did not tell it to me directly. He was speaking with Sergeant Michelson, and I overheard it.
Okay. And at this point in time, did you then just simply issue a citation for the illegal display of a tag?
Yes, myself and another deputy removed the license plate that you had shown me a picture of. We then put on the license plate that he was getting ready to send back to Topeka, and I issued him an NTA for the illegal tag.
And this all occurred in the within the corporate limits of Greenwood County, Kansas. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, I don't believe I have any further questions or evidence. The court's admitted the photograph of the license plate has been identified. It's been identified. Jurisdiction has been identified.
So the state rests?
State rests.
All right, Mr. Estrada, the state has presented what they're going to present.
I guess technically, Your Honor, my apologies. We don't actually rest yet, Mr. Estrada. I don't know if he's going to proceed with
that's right.
cross-examination, but I don't have any additional questions.
You're right. Okay. So, Mr. Estrada, the state has finished their direct examination of this witness. This is your time to cross-examine the witness as to anything you feel like you need to for whatever purpose. And keep in mind, the charge is illegal display of a license plate. So if you have questions.
I do.
Okay, go ahead.
To the deputy, I have a recording in which I never said I was gonna send it back to I never said that I was going to send the
Is this
plates
a
back.
question? This isn't your time to testify yet.
I'm
Just
making.
ask him questions about what he testified to.
So, Deputy, you said that I said that I was gonna return the plates. Can you attest to that? Do you have an affidavit? Because I have a recording. Is that what you said?
I also have a recording, and when I typed out my report, I was watching the video of the recording as well.
Okay. So I'm telling you that was false.
You
I
don't
said
tell him
Question
to ask
argumentative, Your Honor.
that,
Let me-
yeah, that sustained. Don't ask questions where you're just arguing with him. That wasn't even a question. That was just an argument. Go ahead. If you have questions.
So I have both plates. My question is,
Well, you're testifying. Ask him a question based on what he testified to.
did I have the plates present with me?
I'm sorry, sir, you cut out. I didn't hear the full question.
Did I have the plates, the commercial plates or the Kansas states? Did I have them?
Yes, you had them inside the vehicle with you.
Yes. Did I have lawful and everything in order? Yes or no?
I believe that's what I testified to a little while ago. Yes, sir.
Okay, so my question is, if I have those documents and tags, and you are testing that I do, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Now, my next question is, I was told that the other officer was the actual sheriff. Was he the sheriff, or was he another deputy?
I'm going to have to ask a clarifying question. Are you talking about the other male officer or the female officer?
The female only talked to me once. I'm talking about the male officer. He told me that he was the sheriff. Was he the sheriff or just another officer?
Well, he's not the sheriff. He's a sergeant. He's a supervisor.
He lied to me because he said that he's the sheriff.
Objection, Your Honor.
Right, so
These questions are all asking questions of hearsay for people who are not even here. And irrelevance.
That is sustained. You cannot ask questions that talk about what someone else said that's not here and available to testify or be cross-examined.
I'd also cite the relevance. I'm not sure what relevance that somebody said about something after the traffic stop.
Sustained.
I was told by the deputy.
No, we're not going to go there unless you've got the deputy subpoenaed and you can show me why that will help me decide if you were driving with illegal plate display.
I am not I am not driving with illegal plates. I'm driving with according to the law.
Okay. Okay, hold on. Did I understand you to say you were not driving with legal plates?
I'm driving with illegal plates, and I got my commercial and my private plates. So I did not do anything wrong.
All right. Any other questions?
No more questions.
All right. Any redirect, Mr.
No, Your Honor. Thank you. Stay abreast.
All right. The state has presented all the evidence they're going to, Mr. Abel. Do you now want to put on any evidence? You can call yourself as a witness. You don't have to, and your silence will not be used as evidence of guilt against you. Do you want to testify?
Of course, I want to testify.
All right. You want to test? You don't want Mr. McClendon to help you. You want to proceed on your own behalf, right?
Yes, I am, because I don't see him helping or anything, and he already told me he's going to support my cause. So I guess I am.
All right. Raise your right hand. Are you calling yourself or someone else?
I'm calling myself and my wife.
All right. Please raise your right hand. I think you want the other right. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Yes, you do? Okay. Make sure you speak up so we can hear you. Go ahead.
So,
Well, let's establish you're Abel Estrada Jr., the defendant in this case, right? Yes?
yes, I'm speaking, but somehow you hear me.
Okay, and you want to talk about what happened August 21st, 2024 here in Greenwood County, Kansas?
That's correct.
All right, tell me what you want the court to consider.
Okay, so I initially met the first officer at the store on my way from the doctor. When I went to eat something, and then I went. I was going.
Can you put your camera down where we can see your whole face?
Well, if I did separate it, you're not gonna hear me.
All right, go ahead.
So she saw me. She saw my plates. She made a call, and I went to eat my food in the street, and they were following me and chasing me and hunting me, and I can see them all around. Okay, and then I was going to my house, and the other officer saw me, and I did not violate the law in any shape or form, nor any code. He stopped me with a pretext that I didn't put a signal light, and that is not true. I did. But he wanted to stop me for my license plates. The main thing that he wanted to do was stop me for my license plates. I have the exhibits here. I presented the DOT, which says that I'm private. I'm living in the private, and it's what exhibit is that? I submitted it already. I think in the back. No. I have the document, and I submitted it. That shows from the DOT that I'm allowed to have the number that I have. I didn't make it up. I was given. It was assigned by the DOT, and it's a clear document. I've been driving like this, and I have both plates for the reason that because I'm disabled at the moment, I'm still disabled and recuperating, but I wanted to do some like Uber or something like that. And that's the reason why I have the other plate. And I have both plates, but because that day I was driving, I'm sorry, during that time I was traveling from one place to another according to the PFR law that I just read. And so, since I'm in the private and I'm not for hire and I'm not selling or making profit of any kind, I use the, if I'm gonna be doing some kind of commerce or make money for profit, of course I'm gonna use the other place. That's the reason why I have both plates in there. I have it just in case. And I was not displaying the other plates because I'm in the private. I'm not doing any commerce with it. The other thing is, I was told that I requested for the sheriff, and they told me that was the sheriff, and he said, yes, I'm the sheriff. They lied about who he was, and they just covering for each other. All I'm saying is, I did not violate any law. I'm righteous unto the law. I'm following exactly what it is. I know we're talking right now about Kansas codes and rules, but the supremacy law says that no law from the state can breach or break of the Constitution. That's why the supremacy law. I'm using that. That is the law that I'm using because I am not violating. So anything that goes against what the law of the land is void. It's not standing. So I am not violating anything. And for anybody to do that is to violate my constitutional rights. And I'm trying to cite the laws here, but you keep stopping me and you say you're not gonna accept it. or you're gonna dismiss it, but my question is, what law are you dismissing? The law of the land? Anyways, the last paper that I want to submit is the one that I got from a DOT. It should be on the record. It clearly states that I'm in the private, I'm not making any money, I'm not for profit, that I'm in the private. That is the law that is in the books. That is the law that I am adhering. Any other law from the states, they violate. That law is not standing. Then the document that I submitted earlier with all the cases, over 24 cases with the same thing.
Sir, I'm just not making out what you're saying there.
I'm sorry. I submitted a document that states over 24 cases that are being won with the same situation that I have. That is to travel. In fact, travel with no registration and no plates. I have plates from the DOT, and I have a registration, and I have the other plates. I did not violate anything. However, I respect the law. You violate the laws of the United States. You violate my constitutional rights. And the other thing that I wanted to say is, I don't appreciate you guys calling me a sovereign citizen because that is a derogatory name. How can you be sovereign and a citizen? Citizen is a servant. So if you're a servant, how can you be a citizen? I mean, how can you be a sovereign? I don't call myself that. I don't define myself like that. I'm just an American following the American law. Any law, any other law that doesn't adhere is not with according to the supremacy law. So whatever Mr. Dean is saying, you are using the state law over the Constitution, over the supremacy
All right,
law.
you're making legal arguments. You really need to stick to the facts in this part of the proceeding. Anything else you want to tell me about the facts of that incident on August 21st of 2024?
Yes, I am righteous to the law. I am following exactly what it says. I am not
hearing you, sir.
I am righteous under the Constitution of the United States. I am not driving because I'm not for hire. I am traveling according to the law. I just read it. According to the law, CFR subsection 390.3. I am not driving. I am traveling from one point to another. I'm not transporting anything. I am not driving. I am traveling. That fact needs to be understood, because if not, then you're putting me being railroad to do something that I don't want to do and didn't do anything. I'm not even contracting. I never wanted to do any of
All right,
this.
well, you haven't given, you've stuck to your arguments and you haven't given me any more facts. So I'm going to let Mr. Dean cross-examine you at this time. He'll ask you questions. Go ahead. If you have anything, Mr. Dean.
Mr. Estrada, were you operating a motor vehicle, in particular a GMC Acadia in Greenwood County back on August, what was the right date? Back on August 21st of 2024.
I was traveling in my vehicle. That's correct.
Okay. And you were in Greenwood County, Kansas when you were contacted by law enforcement officers, correct?
Yes.
Or traffic stop.
Travel. Yes.
And just to be clear, you weren't cited for, you weren't given any kind of a citation in regards to a blinker violation or change of lane without, or lane change violation, correct?
That's correct, because that was the pretext to stop me. Yes, that's correct.
And what's been admitted in State's Exhibit number 1, that is the only claimed license plate you were displaying on your vehicle at the time you were operating it, correct?
That was the plate sitting on the vehicle, but that's not the only plate that I have.
Listen to my question very closely. This is the only plate that you had displayed on the outside of your vehicle, correct?
Yes.
And where did this plate come from?
That's the number. That's the one that I got from the DOT.
My question again, not where the number was generated from. Where did this actual physical plate, irregardless of the information on it, where did this plate come from?
From a company. Company made it for me.
And you requested that company make it for you, correct?
Yes, I did.
And that's a private company. It's not some government agency that issued you this, correct?
Correct.
How long is this plate good for?
Indefinitely, because when I'm using it in the private.
Okay. No further questions, Your Honor.
Anything you want to say to follow up what he just asked you about?
Yes, thank you.
No argument, just facts.
I don't even know how to question anymore, because I'm not able to use my own thoughts. I guess I don't have questions at the moment. Go ahead.
Do you have any other witnesses you want to call, sir?
I want to call my wife.
Very well. What is her name?
It's Annie Estrada.
Annie
She's
Estrada, if you'll please come on the screen. Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear the information, the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead. You are Annie Estrada, married to the defendant Abel Estrada Jr., is that right?
That's correct.
Now, were you with him at any time during his interactions with law enforcement on August 21st, 2024? I'm sorry?
Yes.
Okay. And what do you want to tell me about that?
I just want to add that the number, the DOT number that was on there was never ran, because I told them that you need to check it. And we have the paperwork from the DOT that it is a registered number. You know, so how, like, what is the issue with the plate? If you run the number, it is registered under the Department of Transportation.
It's the lawful plate.
And then they didn't want to do anything with it. They actually, so I had to pull out the fee schedule that we have if you want to do business, and they ignored it. And then when the officer, the deputy
Hansen.
started writing the ticket, he actually told my husband, if you don't sign this, you're going to go to jail.
That's cool.
That's not correct.
That's,
I believe that's a violation.
I did under the threat of
Yeah.
harm.
So now he has
All right,
to sign it.
Mr. Estrada, she's testifying.
Okay.
Yeah, so he signed it under duress.
Yeah.
And so
Anything else?
my main concern here is what is the violation, because we both numbers are registered. One is under the Department of Transportation and the other is under commercial. And I have the paperwork here that I sent it to the deputy.
What is that you're holding up?
The registration,
Oh,
transportation, carrying the number, that it's a registered number.
Mr. Dean, any questions?
No.
Explanation? No? All right, thank you. Any further evidence, Mr. Estrada?
Not at the moment.
All right.
Mr. Estrada, you're in a courtroom. Please remove your cap.
The only reason I put it on is because I'm taking blood thinners, and I am freezing, and I got the heater next to me, and I cannot concentrate. I do it out of necessity. It's not that I'm being disrespectful. May I have my hat? Because I'm trembling here. I can't concentrate.
It's a call for the judge.
I'll let you wear it under these circumstances that you described. Now,
I apologize.
both parties have presented their evidence. You said you're not going to call anyone else, right, Mr. Estrada?
Yes.
All right. And I'm going to give you each no more than a 5-minute closing argument. But remember, I'm pretty versed in this law of license plates, so I don't need a lot of legal argument. Go ahead, though, Mr. Dean, if you have any.
I could argue quite a bit about, mainly in regards to what Mr. Estrada is referencing.
Now, feel free to argue. For 5
But I
minutes.
don't believe it's going to be of a necessary benefit to the court. I believe the court's well aware that regardless of whatever this is that Mr. Estrada has issued to himself, he may have received a KDOT or a U.S. Department of Transportation number associated with something. What Mr. Estrada is failing to acknowledge is the fact that this is the supremacy clause doesn't mean all things overrule everything the state does. State rights, equal protection, as the court knows, all of those, full faith and credit that the U.S. Constitution is the primary clause Mr. Abel just ignores from Mr. Estrada. Kansas requires you to, if you're a resident of Kansas or you have a vehicle in Kansas, which he just showed us a registration for Central County, that you have a Kansas license tag. You don't get to just decide that you're no longer going to display a license tag from the state of Kansas. And he's displaying a tag that no one can run, no one can verify any information from, and I think that's clearly a violation of Kansas law. I ask that you make a finding of guilty, and that's all I have to say.
All right, Mr. Estrada, it is 12:55. You have 5 minutes to make any legal arguments. Go ahead, please.
Thank you. I'm going back to the supremacy clause of Article 6 that says that all judges are supposed to be approved by this law of the land. I don't know why you keep why they keep saying that I don't know what I'm saying, but the law of the United States is the supremacy law over any state law, and 49 CFR subsection 390.3 says that unless you there's an exception that says unless otherwise specially provided in the rules not applied to section 3, the occupation of personal property by individuals not for compensation and not the furtherance of commercial enterprise. So I am not in commercial. I am not in commercial law. I'm not traveling with a truck. I'm not making any money. I am disabled.
Yeah, no shit.
And the only reason why I'm in the city is because of the hospital. I am not using this car for commercial purposes. I am exactly quoting inside what I'm using. This is to do otherwise. This would be a blatant violation of my rights, and all this gas lamping, telling me that I don't know what I'm saying and I don't know what I'm doing, sir. That is incorrect. I know what I'm doing because I've been doing it. I studied it. I went to the Kansas Assembly, General Assembly, and we study, and they teach us not to violate the law, to obey the law. But any law that supersedes the Constitution the United States is not allowed to follow. So, and I want to surmise by saying that I am not going to violate the law in any way, shape, or form. I never did it, and I'm giving it. Whether decision you want to give it is not correct. You're just saying that because you just wanna get your way with me. But I am disabled. I got no money. Whatever money you're trying to take from me, I don't have it. $700 a month is not enough for me to live. So I don't have the money to pay, number one. Number two, I didn't violate anything. Everybody in your office and in the attorney and the other person at the judges, they're all telling me, why don't you just pay the fine? Why don't you just plead the case? Why am I going to plead something that I didn't violate any law? I did not do anything wrong. I'm righteous unto the law. Period. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
All right, thank you. The applicable statute today is 8-133, KSA 8-133. Display of license plate. The provision begins, the license plate assigned to the vehicle shall be attached to the rear thereof and shall be so displayed during the current registration year or years. It goes on with some language from there, but that's the bottom line. Were you, sir, driving a vehicle with the license plate assigned by the Department of Vehicles, the tag department, and did you have it attached to the rear of your vehicle? And was it for the current year? I understood the officer's testimony to say that you did not have the current year's plate attached. I wasn't totally clear, but it sounded like you were saying you had a tag, but you didn't have it attached. You, on cross-examination, were very clear that the only plate you had attached to the rear of your car was Plaintiff's Exhibit 1. And you admitted that that did not come from the Department of Motor Vehicles, but that came from some private contractor that you hired to make this special plate for you. You emphasize the US DOT number. Well, you may have a DOT number, but those are usually assigned for vehicles of a certain size, weight, and function. I don't know that I've ever heard anyone argue that the number would apply to a private automobile, as in this case. But those numbers go usually on the doors in vinyl lettering, but they do not replace a car tag. I do find you guilty, sir. You will pay a fine and court costs. And I was looking, this isn't one with a scheduled fine to it. Mr. Dean, do you have any recommendation to what the fine in this should be?
Your Honor, as he had paid his taxes and registration, I'm going to treat this as what I typically do, even though Mr. Estrada exercises his right to trial and does not acknowledge that the state of Kansas can even require him to do this. I'm going to ask court to impose a fine of $50. Most court costs of $108. I believe under most circumstances, this carries a maximum 30 days of jail, not asking for any jail to be served, but I believe that we may need some type of a sentence underlying for this matter, with 6 months of non-reporting probation and an appropriate time to pay.
And I'm sorry, I missed what you said about how long the length was.
I actually didn't make it. I just stated the max sentence was up to 30 days. I didn't make a particular statement as to how many days to serve. I will say recommend 15. Again, did actually have the tag, is choosing not to display it based upon an improper belief on the rule of law in the state's opinion. We'll clarify that I at no point in time stated that Mr. Estrada did not know what he was saying, nor a number of things he attributed to me as being statements about him. I made none of those statements. I simply stated that the full faith and credit and the fact that we are a constitutional republic and the states have state rights and control of certain issues is being ignored by the arguments. Never stated that he didn't know what he was saying.
Well, and I have listened to Mr. Abel in both city court and district court on this case, and at no time have I been given the impression that he was incompetent or needed a mental evaluation. I always believed and found that he just had a differing opinion than what most of the folks in the legal system believe based on the laws that we work with. But Mr. Estrada, your fine will be $50. Your court costs are $108, so you owe $158. How much time do you need to pay that, sir?
I have no money. I make $700 a month and my rent is $500, which leaves me with $200 for food. I have no money, but I'm going to appeal this. I'm appealing this.
All right. Well, I'm going to give you 14 days to pay. I'm also giving you a 15-day sentence that you will not have to serve as long as you do successfully complete a 6-month non-reporting probation. You will not have to see a probation officer, but you will need to do 2 things. The first is do not violate any laws during the 6 months. And the second is pay the $158 within 14 days. Now, you do have up to 14 days to appeal this decision to the Kansas Court of Appeals. If you do, I am going to set your appeal bond at $158 cash. Anything further, Mr. Dean, from the state?
Your Honor, just non-reporting conditions, probation to include pay all costs and fines within 15 days of the day's date. I'd like a pay or appear date.
Okay.
Keep us notified if he would change it. Keep the county attorney's office notified if he change addresses and no new law violations.
All right. If you change your address, phone number, contact information, the condition of your probation is to let the county attorney know. And then I'm going to give you a date to return that if you don't have this paid, we're going to revisit it and see what, if any, effect it might have on your probation. So, Missy?
Did you say 14 days?
They're about 14, 15, somewhere.
I had 15 days written down, but I may have just done that off of a 15-day sentence.
February 28th at 11.
All right. February 28th, 2025. At 11, you need to have that paid or be back here in court. Yes, sir?
I cannot pay it. I don't have the income.
All right. Well, we will visit that. We'll revisit that on February 28th.
Your Honor, in this case, I probably should review the journal entry and maybe ask the court to approve it if Mr. Estrada won't cooperate. Sir, I'm going to show you what I've marked today. This is a journal entry. It's just simply a record of what occurred today. I'm not asking for you to agree to what the court ruled or found, just that this is what happened. And obviously, you do have the right to appeal any judgment entered against you today. It's got the case name, State of Kansas versus yourself. Case number assigned to it, which is Greenwood County 2024. Case number, the date that we all appeared here today, that you appeared via Zoom with court-appointed counsel who's assigned as standby counsel, and I need to add in Mr. McClendon's name to the journal entry. So there's no blanks. So I've added Mr. McClendon, who is designated by the court at this point in time as standby counsel. Court found you guilty after proceeding to the bench trial of illegal display of tag, violation of KSA 8-133. Court proceeded to sentencing. Court sentenced you to a 15-day sentence, which is suspended for payment of court costs. Payment of fine, and I don't believe the court stated this, Your Honor, but I think the court's going to waive attorney fees based upon the disability finding or claim. $50 fine. Go down here, and other conditions of probation include, but are not limited to, or may include, pay all costs within 15 days of the day. If you have not, appear on the date the court just gave you for February 28th at 11 a.m. this year. No new law, or keep the county attorney's office notified. If you change addresses, no new law violations. And I've also noted the court advised you of your right to appeal within 14 days of today. Agree that that's an accurate statement as to what the court ordered, not as to your legal position.
Can I get a copy of that?
Yes.
Absolutely.
And I'm adding, I hadn't quite finished it, but his right to appeal this case to the Kansas Court of Appeals within 14 days of today. So do you agree that that's what the court ordered? Mr. Abel, or excuse me, Mr. Estrada?
I don't agree to anything, but I hear what you say.
Okay, I'd ask the court to go ahead and authorize that I approve without his signature. The court approves that that's an accurate recitation of the journal entry without his signature.
Well, I think you're agreeing, aren't you, Mr. Abel? That's what I said. You just don't agree with it, right?
Don't agree. I'm not,
You don't agree that that's what I said?
I don't agree to anything.
Well, guys, we have come to the end of this trial. A lot of things happened during the trial. I'm not going to go over a bunch of it. You've already pretty much saw it. Just want to make a couple of points. We see him and his lawyer or his standby counsel or the public defender that he was appointed. They've had a history of going back and forth. This guy has been trying to get out of, helping out Mr. Estrada or being his attorney for a long time, but they did still make him stay in and stand by. I don't understand what's the point of Mr. Estrada having the valid license, the insurance, and just not putting the right plates on the car. To me, it just doesn't make sense. It just seems like he just wants to be defiant and kind of prove a point. And my thing is, if you don't have money like that to be dealing with these court situations, these fines, then just stop playing the games, man, and just use all of your legitimate stuff that you have for your vehicle. Also, the outcome that we saw, I think we all knew was going to happen, that he was going to be, found guilty. He has a court cost of, I believe, $108, a fine of $50, which is a total of $158, which he needs to pay. He did get hit with a 15-day sentence, but he doesn't have to serve that if he does the 6 months non-visitation probation, which is sweet. He doesn't even have to, go in and see anybody. But as we can see, Mr. Estrada says, listen, you can forget about all that because I am going to appeal this. So I think what we thought was going to happen happened, and that's him being found guilty. We'll keep up with this particular case to see if anything else comes out of it, but all he has to do is pay the $158, which he said he doesn't have, and then he can pretty much go about his business. But with that being said, guys, always thank you for joining me here at Sovereign Citizens Hall of Fame. Do not forget to subscribe, like, and share. You guys have been doing an amazing job so far, so thank you. And until the next time, guys, Sovereign Citizens Court is adjourned. See you guys soon. God bless.